Chairman of Faida Investment Bank and former chair of the Nairobi Securities Exchange, Mahesh Acharya, partner, ENS Africa, members of the media, Nation Media. It's a very nice day to see you here. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Good morning again. I think for us, we are very delighted to be hosting Nation Media here once again. You're one of our listed companies that has stood the test of time. You've given us a lot of collaboration, and we continue to see a lot of things happening well because of these partnerships that we have. So it's a great pleasure as the CEO to welcome you to the exchange as we ceremoniously ring the bell to mark Kenya's first share buyback offer. This is a key milestone for the NSE as we witness the first share buyback on the exchange. I think the NSE is standing in a number of firsts. We are the first market in East and Central Africa to set up a derivatives market, first to do a real estate investment trust, first to do an ETF, first to do an Kiba retail bond in the world. So we stand doing a lot of firsts, and now today we are doing the first share buyback in the region. So in the past, dividends were the most common form of wealth distribution. However, as we become more progressive and flexible, we are seeing a fundamental shift in the way companies deploy their capital. So typically companies can return wealth to shareholders through stock price appreciations, dividends, or as we are witnessing here today, through stock buybacks. Ladies and gentlemen, this comes on the back of an economic recovery that we're now witnessing globally, with projections that we could be heading towards 6% this year, owing to the improved supports, the anticipated recovery aided by vaccinations, and even within Kenya, we are seeing some level of recovery coming through. So in 2020, we witnessed a very difficult market that was affected by the COVID-19 crisis issue, and hence a lot of volatility in the market. But that notwithstanding, we were able to have a resilient performance as a market, but we feel that we have actually demonstrated a high level of resilience. The market was able to operate seamlessly, and were able to carry out our activities beyond our expectations. We're also seeing a strong recovery in performance in the market. Just to give you an example, last week we had a 42.5% appreciation in turnover in a week, where we saw our trading volumes go to about 3.37 billion in just a week. So that's good signal for the market. And hence, we believe this share buyback will also add to that, that level of activity. We're seeing very strong performance of our secondary trading market on the bond side. I think we are way ahead of target this year. And also very happy that our corporate bond market is coming back to life, thanks to Family Bank. So we thank them all for really standing with us in this. So our focus this year, and my chairman will be speaking more about this, is how to strengthen the supply side. And we are doing a number of things, engaging with various stakeholders, and really call on you as a partner to help us in that journey. We'll continue with the improving our uptake of our products, especially the new ones, the ETF, our recently launched unquoted securities platform, and our real estate investment trusts, and we think that will also be able to help us go on. So as we continue to implement our continuous business continuity plans to ensure an uninterrupted market, we want to assure you that we have a very stable market right now, and we'll continue investing to become more digitized, to ensure that we create front ends that allow a lot of participation, especially from our retail and international investors, and really to the wider public. So we're very happy today to be hosting you. That you're coming at a time when we have been ranked among the best performing exchange in the month of June in Africa, among our peers, at about 13.67%, even outshining the largest market like the Johannesburg Stock Exchange at 10.67%. So my deal as the CEO of the exchange is we have this conversation out there that the exchange is really a very good place to invest. We want to encourage retail investors to use our various partners and invest even create wealth. So once again, and a great pleasure to have you, and we really wish you in this offer. And thank you
very much, Mr. Jirafadundo. Let me again invite Kelvin, wherever you want, to come and sanitize here. As I invite the next speaker, you're speaking about the issue of dividends. I should remind the market that NMG last year had a bonus share issue sometime, actually around June last year. So setting the pace quite as far as the market is concerned. Our next speaker will be giving us a transaction advisor remarks from Vida Investment, and that is Mr. Bob Karina. Welcome on set.
Thank you, Mr. MC. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Today is a great day for the shareholders of Nation Media Group and the capital markets industry, and the NSE, as you have heard from Jeff Odundo, as we are launching the very first and the first ever share buyback by a listed company on the Nairobi Securities Exchange. As you have heard, there has been attempts by a few companies to try and carry out share buyback, but it hasn't happened on the listed companies. A share buyback occurs when a company decides to buy its own shares, which is sometimes called a repurchase of the shares it has issued in the market. So Nation Media Group believes that the share price of its share is undervalued, and that is the reason they have come up with this idea of buying back the shares by offering a higher price than that which has traded in the recent past. As some of you might have noticed, the price of Nation Media shares has moved for the last 3 years from about 2017 from a high of 110 shillings to as low as about 14.95 in May this year. So the NMG decided to use this route of share buyback as an efficient method of putting back money in the shareholders' pockets. By doing this, as you will be aware, they are taking back the shares from the market, so it reduces the number of shares that will be trading in the market, which will in the process make the price of the share that is left be of a greater value than what it is currently. The shares remaining will therefore is expected to be fewer and than those the shares taken back will be fewer than what is currently existing, and this will therefore rise. Is expected this will raise the price of the share. This demonstrates to investors that the business has sufficient cash and a low probability of economic troubles. NMG could have gone to the market and buy directly the shares and compete with the buyers, which would have increased the demand on the shares and resulted in increased prices. However, it decided to offer the buyback of its shares at almost 50% higher than the prevailing market price, to give its shareholders an opportunity to liquidate the shares at a guaranteed price or to hold on to the shares and benefit from the future expected growth of the company. The SBB will go on simultaneously with the normal trading on the exchange, meaning that other buyers can compete with NMG by buying the shares at the offered price or higher, which would still benefit the shareholder. And the plan is to buy a maximum of about 20 million shares, which is 10% of the NMG's issued shares. The offer opens today, 20th of June. And are not outstanding. Reduction in the number of available shares by the 10% is expected to increase demand on the shares and also the earnings per share, which elevates the market value of the remaining shares. So I wish to congratulate the board and management of NMG for being pioneers and boldly setting off on this journey as the first listed company to offer SBB to its shareholders on the NSE. This buyback shows the board's commitment to increasing shareholders' value. I would like to appreciate the partnership we have had with ENS Africa, which was our first time to work together, and it worked so well like we were partners or the same company. I mean, like we are one company. I also wish to recognize and appreciate the registrars, the regulators, CMA, NSE, and CDSC for their support, cooperation, and guidance through all the necessary approvals and their willingness to accommodate our urgent requests at every stage. The leadership in those institutions has demonstrated that they are pro-market and they are there for the growth of our industry. So thank you very much.
Many thanks, Mr. Bob Karina, for taking us through the rigors of a share buyback. As Kelvin comes to sanitize here, he reminded me of a conversation I had one time with a CEO in this market, and I asked him, how come your counter is always trading at a discount? I mean, I look at your fundamentals, they're solid. Why this mismatch? And he told me, I mean, the market perhaps just doesn't understand what underlies this company, but we are hoping that Section 447 of the Companies Act will be triggered, and I guess that's why we are here. Our next speaker is Mr. Mahesh Acharya, partner, ENS Africa. Welcome on set.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Chairman, NMG, Chairman, NSE. We have various CEOs here, NMG, CMA, Jeff, Corey. All protocols observed, distinguished guests, good morning once again. It's a pleasure to be here amongst all of you. When I first met Stephen and Richard to discuss this buyback, we knew there were going to be some challenges. Like everyone's mentioned before me, this is the first for this market. We are going to break ground here from a capital markets perspective. We did not know how the market would react or how the regulators would perceive this, but we were up for the challenge. I will not give many details of the transaction and repeat what has been said. Mine will be more of a vote of thanks style of commentary. We have been thoroughly impressed with the manner in which all the regulators have come together to deal with the newness of this project, areas which needed more clarity around regulation and the law, technicalities with technology platforms and so on. And as they always say, innovation is always impossible without industry-wide collaboration, cooperation, and consensus. We received plenty of guidance and support from the CMA, the NSE, and the CDSC during this process. We spent several hours in meetings, brainstorming, various computations, mechanics, timelines to reach where we are today. Kudos to our regulators who have taken a problem-solving approach and not one that is purely regulatory focused. For us to energize the capital markets and investor appetite in our continent, we must embrace new transaction structures and bring home lessons from afar. This shows me how sophisticated and mature our capital markets has become since I did my first listing in 2005. I know I look a lot younger than I am, but I've been around for some time. NMG and the entire team, Stephen, Richard, Dennis, Seko, and everyone else, thank you for entrusting ENS Africa to lead you through this process. We have sought to bring international best practice and our experiences from South Africa and Mauritius on share buybacks to this region on this first-of-a-kind transaction, not only involving Kenya, but Uganda, Tanzania, and Rwanda, where NMG shares are cross-listed. It has been an absolute pleasure working with you. Bob, Rina, we could not have found a better partner with FIDA Investment Bank. Endless calls, WhatsApp groups, discussions going on till late in the night. You are always available. This has been a fantastic collaboration. At NS Africa, we strive for excellence, novel solutions, and bringing together synergies. This transaction has been a cooking pot for all those elements, and we hope to continue to develop and energize the capital markets in this region. Great things are rarely achieved by just one person. They are accomplished by a group of people when we are all committed to the same goal and synergy. Finally, I'd like to thank my team, Anthony Gakuru, who has led us through a lot of these nuances, and we look forward to having more novel transactions in this market. Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Very many thanks for those remarks, Mr. Mahesh Acharya. I now want to invite the Chairman, not the Chief Executive Officer of the Nairobi Securities Exchange, Mr. Kiprono Kitoni, a man who took over this seat with a lot of vigor. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Wilfred Kiboro, Chairman, NMG Group, Stephen Gitagama, CEO, NMG, Wycliffe Shamia, CEO, Capital Markets Authority, Jeff Odundo, our CEO here at the Exchange, Bob Karina, Saracharya, Mr. Mabesa, all dignitaries here, Mahesh Acharya, members of the media, and distinguished guests. Good morning. On behalf of the Board of Directors and the management of the NSE, we are honored by your presence here today and wish to take this opportunity to warmly welcome you to the Nairobi Securities Exchange. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we are here to witness Kenya's first share buyback at the NSE. This share buyback demonstrates the board's confidence of the group's future performance as it continues to increase shareholders' value while focusing on its core business activities. NMG has since had a track record of consistent growth in profitability and products range. NMG is also cross-listed in Dar es Salaam Stock Exchange, Rwanda Securities Exchange, Uganda Securities Exchange as well. It is evident that NMG has made tremendous strides in making its shares available across investors in East Africa. Since COVID-19 pandemic, the world has changed and our lives have been transformed. The outbreak adversely affected businesses and the economy as a whole, triggering a free fall in share prices. The price of NMG's ordinary shares at the NSE over the last 3 years has dropped from a high of approximately 110 Kenya shillings per share in 2017 to approximately 16 shillings and 85 cents per ordinary share currently. Additionally, the trading volumes of the company's ordinary share has experienced a notable decline on the cross-listed securities exchanges. The company's buyback of a proportion of its listed ordinary shares is well received by shareholders, as it will give shareholders an option to cash in on their investments. The buyback seeks to offer the shareholders an alternative option to realize the value of their investment, and buybacks are normally looked at upon as a way to reward shareholders or improve the company's financials, as typically a buyback offer improves the financial ratio of the company and leads to better valuation. Dr. Kiboro, it is very difficult time to run business, and more so in the media industry, and me being part of that industry, I know exactly how difficult it is. As we wade through the uncharted territories and uncertainties brought about by the pandemic. While the media industry may be amongst the hardest hit by the COVID-19, you have continued to find novel and engaging ways to help deliver on the promise of keeping customers informed and entertained. Remote working, online education, and social distancing will create demand for products and services delivered by this industry. Evidently, the crisis underscores the need for a flexible and resilient business model. Your efforts are recognized, Bwana Gitagama and your team, and you have NSE support as you strive to reach new heights in the media sector. Ladies and gentlemen, we wish to singularly thank NMG for continuously using Kenya's capital markets to strengthen its capital base. The company's continued growth and expansion, supported by the capital markets, is a fine example of the abundant opportunities that our market offers. And in conclusion, and on behalf of the NSE and all the stakeholders, let me recognize the effort that has been put in by Dr. Kiboro, the board and the management of NMG, who together with the advisory team are using the public markets to raise capital, further entrenching their mission to create value for stakeholders and positively influence society by providing media that informs, that educates, and that entertains. As I sign off, I'd like to just also inform you that we now have a new vice chair at the NSE, and he's sitting right in front of me, Mr. Paul Mwai, and to say that we are really looking forward to partnering with you to do things that will entrench capital markets, that will entrench the culture of investment and saving. We really need to improve financial literacy. And the NSE, Jeff, I think we need to have a much greater conversation with the NMG management team to see that we can educate our people, to learn how to invest, to see also that they can lend their influence in the campaign that we have to deal with the supply side of shares, stocks, equities, and etc. Thank you very much. God bless you and have a successful day.
Thank you so much, Chairman, for those remarks, and especially around financial literacy, which we are making every effort to plug that gap. We have a show every Tuesday from 7:30 to 8 p.m., Business Redefined. Jeff Odudo has been on it, so he knows the show. Our next remarks will come from the market regulator, Mr. Wycliffe Shamia. Always a delight to have you in our presence, please.
The Chairman, National Media Group, Dr. Kiboro, MD, Directors, Management and Staff, the Chairman of NSE, CEO NSE, other directors present here today, the Chief Executive CDSE present, the advisory team present here today, all protocols observed, ladies and gentlemen, I'm happy to be part of this event here today. First, allow me to start by acknowledging the critical role played by National Media Group, board, management and staff, Nairobi Securities Exchange, and the advisory team led by Faida Investment Bank. This indeed is a historical event, as it is the first of its kind in the Kenyan capital markets space. It clearly demonstrates the commitment by national media to capitalize on available alternative means and strategies of creating value to its shareholders. Globally, we have seen what we see today here as share buybacks. Many reasons behind this, and some of them have been mentioned here, but I'll just mention a few. Allocation of excess cash to shareholders in a straightforward manner. Secondly, taking advantage of undervaluation of certain stocks. Third, quick fix for financial statements to boost financial ratios where it is necessary. We all know that share buybacks have been very common in the US, but I can also tell you Europe has become a bit active on this, and we have seen inroads into Africa if you looked at the experience in South Africa. But just to comment that following COVID-19 pandemic, which has ravaged many economies, including the very advanced, many share buyback transactions are expected. we have already seen a number by very huge global corporates. Of course, for those who know, Advanced Micro Devices, Apple, Warren Buffett, Berkshire Hathaway, they have all announced similar transactions just to give their shareholders great value after these transactions. We are also aware that share buybacks were introduced in this country in 2015 with the new Companies Act. But this act is very careful if you look at it, because it has do's and don'ts that are actually aimed to bring some certainty as companies go into share buybacks. But one of the questions we have asked ourselves as regulators of listed companies and others are these provisions adequate? And of course, we did this just to ensure that when these processes are done, there is fairness, efficiency, and of course, everybody feeling they were fairly treated. We therefore did a jurisdictional analysis around the world to just see how does these different markets react to these transactions. And this is why we were compelled to come up with guidelines to guide more, in addition to the provisions you see in the Companies Act. Let me say, in the process, we did engage the market, and I'm happy to say those guidelines have since been internally approved and shall be released next month to the market so that they are taken advantage of by companies wishing to actually undertake share buyback transactions. But let me also just confirm, we have analyzed this specific transaction against those guidelines, and we are happy because these transactions we launched today are in compliance. On behalf of the Board of CMA, management, and staff, I request listed companies to look at this and take advantage where they feel it adds value, because we talk of innovation options that will add value to our shareholders. In conclusion, once again, let me just wish National Group the best of luck, and of course, it will be our joy to see this transaction succeed, because it then opens the way for the rest of the other companies. Thank you, and have a very good function.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wycliffe Shamia, Chief Executive Officer at the Capital Markets Authority. It is now my distinct honor to invite the Chairman of the Nation Media Group, Dr. Wilfred Kiboro, to give us his remarks on this auspicious occasion. Welcome, sir.
Good morning, everyone. Let me get my gadget working. Mr. Wycliffe Shamia, the CEO of Capital Markets Authority, my good friend Kitoni, Chairman of NSE, Bob Karina, my old friend at FIDA Investment Bank, Geoffrey Odino, the CEO NSE, Mwebesa, my son, who is also the CDSC CEO, Mahesh, the partner, ENS Africa, and all the invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very delighted to be here this morning to participate in this historic event as we launch the buyback of Nation Media Group shares. While buyback of shares by companies, as you heard from the CEO of CMA, is quite common in developed markets, this is not the same. This is not true in NSE or even in the Capital Markets Authority in the capital markets in Kenya and East Africa, indeed. So we are very delighted to be the first at Nation Media Group to offer this particular product, and I think the purpose for this has been very well explained. What we are trying to do is to create value for our shareholders in a different way. As you heard, from Kitoni saying the traditional way of just paying dividends is one way of giving value to the shareholders. This is another innovative ways that we think can also be explored to be able to give value to the shareholders. And this is particularly more so when the stock of a particular company is undervalued, as clearly the Nation Media Group share has been undervalued for quite some time now. Ladies and gentlemen, the year 2020 will perhaps go down in history as one of the most difficult years for businesses around the world. The COVID-19 pandemic turned our lives upside down, played havoc on our health and lives, in addition to disrupting travel and supply chains around the world. This forced many businesses to scale down their operations, to resize or downsize, to conserve cash, and just to survive the year and just live to fight another day. I think my friend Kitoni mentioned that the media space and the media industry was particularly hit, just because particularly for the people in the newspapers, as customers were not sure whether buying a newspaper was going to be one of the ways of transmitting the COVID-19, so they shied away from buying newspapers, and we saw a lot of decline in the circulation of newspapers, not just here but globally, and this affected our business quite a lot. The earnings of most businesses, including the media, plummeted, and so did the value of the stocks in most exchanges. I think you found that we are now beginning to rebound, but last year was not particularly good for most of the stock exchanges around the world. The lack of clarity on how long the pandemic was going to last and how businesses were going to re-engineer themselves and respond to the new environment also compounded the confusion among the investors. They didn't know how long is it going to take. And therefore, is there going to be a dividend, no dividends, what is going to happen? And obviously that affected both the demand and the supply side, because people are not sure exactly where this was leading to. I think many organizations also didn't do very well in terms of perhaps keeping the would-be investors informed about what was happening. We all tended to go back into our lockdown, and we went into some sort of a depression mood in terms of not just even going out there to talk to our customers to tell them, okay, this has happened, but this is what we are doing to get out of the rut that we find ourselves in. I think going forward, at Nation Media Group, we plan to go back into our usual investors briefing. I think would-be investors are entitled to know how the company is doing, to understand the market, to understand the challenges that the company is facing, so they can make informed decisions when they come to trade on our stocks in the stock market. We will be publishing our half-year results very quickly, and we do hope at that time we'll take the opportunity to come and talk and engage our shareholders to be able to explain to them what our business model is, what our strategy is going forward in the next 3, 4, 5 years, so that they can also make informed decisions about what they want to do if they do wish to invest in our shares. So, but within the environment we've all found ourselves in, some of our investors decided to dispose their shares, sometimes just to keep, to bring food to the table. And therefore we found that the shareholders were selling their shares even at a price that didn't make actually sense, and neither did it reflect the true value of their shares. For NMG, the share declined from an average value of around 40 shillings at the end of 2019 to close at just below 16 shillings at the beginning of the end of the year, and that's a huge shift and great volatility. So the volatility of the nation's stock in 2020 meant that the few shareholders who are willing to sell their shares were not getting good value for the investment. Moreover, at that low price, the market capitalization, as defined by the value of the share, was below even the audited asset value of the group. So in fact, we found it very strange that when you multiply the number of shares we have by the value, we had more money in our bank account than what that was reflecting, and yet not considering that we have a lot of other assets, we have buildings, we have other stuff, we have printing press, we have goodwill and all the rest of it, So it didn't make sense. So clearly the nation stock was undervalued. It is against this background, ladies and gentlemen, that the board resolved to request the shareholders to approve the buyback of shares from the investors who wish to do so. Let me emphasize here that we are not trying to ease out the small shareholders. We are just giving them the opportunity to be able to cash in, and also if they want to cash in their shares, at least at a reasonable price, where we think, trading the share at 15 bob or 20 bob, whatever it is, doesn't really make sense. So I think this is a way that we are recognizing that the shareholders can also be rewarded in that way. We believe sincerely that this will help the shareholders to realize value of their investments, increase the intrinsic value of the stock at the bows, and enable the group to keep these shares as treasury, which can be used for other investment purposes. Because we are looking at here, for instance, if the nation wants to go into mergers and acquisitions, and they want to do share swaps, this could help us, particularly if the share of the value of the share is at a reasonable level. So we will be keeping this share, the ones that we will be buying from our shareholders, and they can be used. They will be in the treasury, and we can use them for other purposes, going forward. We also think, because now those shares will not be attracting dividends when we are holding them, the few shares that will remain behind, people should be able, and we do hope that we'll continue with our dividend policy as we have done all these years. The value, the earnings per share should obviously improve, and this should be good for the shareholders. The buyback price, as you have been informed, will be at 25 shillings, which is significantly higher than the average price for the 3 weeks preceding the public announcement for the share buyback. And I must say that, as you heard from the CMA CEO, we were quite compliant with the CMA regulations in terms of the setting the prices at which a company may buy back its shares. The maximum number of shares that we will be buying is 20,739,652, representing about 10% of the listed shares. The shares buyback starts this morning after we ring the bell, and is expected to close on the early of the company buying up to 20.7 million shillings we have talked about, or at 3 p.m. Local time on Friday, 24th September 2021. Ladies and gentlemen, before I end my remarks, allow me, Chairman, because there are many of them here, to inform the investors and the public that despite the difficult trading environment we went through in 2020, the group has made remarkable recovery. The group overhauled its business model and made a bold step in its digital transformation journey with the launch of our digital brand, Nation.Africa. I'm very pleased to state here, ladies and gentlemen, that we have made tremendous progress so far in transitioning from a legacy print media-based media house to a Pan-African digital media company with a global reach. And I think we've done pretty well on that one. The group made a great turnaround in the second half of last year and rebounded from a loss position, I think, of close to 300 million shillings, and we ended up with a profit of just over 100 million shillings by the year end. That was a tremendous turnaround within 6 months. And I'm also happy to say that that strong performance we saw in the second half of last year has continued in this year. And we're actually, expecting that we will be posting some pretty good results, this half of the year. And also going towards the end of the year, unless we have, heavy, unexpected economic headwinds like we saw during last year, we are very confident of having good results this year. I wish to reassure our shareholders and all potential investors and the public that Nation Media Group remains steadfast and committed, as witnessed for the last 60 years, to continue to positively influence the society by being the most trusted source of news and information, guided by our values of truth, independence, fairness, not partisanship, balance, accuracy, and objectivity. I want to end my remarks by thanking the Capital Markets Authority, the CDSCLD, and the Nairobi Securities Exchange for their support and timely approval of this offer. I also wish to thank the sponsoring broker, Faida Investment Bank, ENS Africa, the Transaction Legal Advisor, PwC, our auditors, and the custody and registrars, our share registrars, for their support in this historic exercise. Allow me to also thank my board and the management for they put in a lot of work to make this happen, particularly when you are chatting and chartered waters. There are a lot of questions that go through, and I want to thank my board and the management very sincerely for pulling this through. Thank you all so much, and to those the shareholders who wish to voluntarily take opportunity of this buyback, you are invited to do so, and within the parameters and the conditions that have been set by the Capital Markets Authority. God bless you. God bless Kenya. God bless us all. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Chairman. I should tell you, Chairman, there are more favorable steps on this side compared to that side.
You saw I was suffering.
Yes, I did.
Thank you so much.
Asante, Chairman, for your remarks. For our next exercise, I will request our team to assist me move this. We're going to the bell ringing, but as that is done, let me say, there's something I've been waiting to hear mentioned, which has not been mentioned, but I had to wait for my seniors to make their remarks to be sure about it. For those of us who have analyzed buybacks in most markets, it tends to be financed through debt. I think we all attest to that. This is not the case with this one, and I think it just speaks to the robustness of the liquidity position that Nation Media Group enjoys as far as its balance sheet is concerned, because I was doing my quick math last night. You're mopping up about 20.7 million shares at a maximum price of 25 shillings. Max, you'll spend about 500 million and 18 shillings. And if you have cash reserves of 1.3 billion, you're still quite safe as far as the buffers are concerned. So that is quite impressive. We are now at the session where we are getting to the bell ringing. I should ask you, Jeff, the last time I moderated a bell ringing was pre-COVID. Does it happen with masks or without? With masks. You'll space out, eh? Thank you for that clarification. So I'd like to call on stage Mr. Geoffrey Odundo, the CEO of NSE, Dr. Wilfred Kiboro, Chairman of Nation Media Group, Mr. Kiprono Kitoni, Chairman NSE, Mr. Wycliffe Shamia, and Mahesh Acharya. Please come on set and be sure we are spacing well. Mr. Bob Karina, please. Sorry for that oversight. Could I have Kelvin with the sanitizer, please? Mr. Stephen Gitagama, please. So you'll sanitize it and give Mr. Odundo. Sanitize and give me the chairman, eh? Yeah. Oh, the bell is there. Okay, so all right. Great. I was going for the smaller one. I'm sorry. Mr. Geoffrey has reminded me. So we always celebrate such market-moving developments, and we're here to celebrate Nation Media Group as it kicks off, I should say, East Africa's first share buyback program, and we know many more companies will be following suit with this. And I want to invite Dr. Wilfred Kiboro to lead us in the bell ringing as we celebrate this moment. Chairman. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Asanteni sana. Gentlemen, don't leave the stage yet. Are we ready on the live side for trading? I want to invite you to just... Oh. We're ring again? Okay. Okay. All right. All right. Should I sit? Okay. All right, Chairman, please, you lead us again in the bell ringing. Asante sana. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen. And I will just request you to leave via this side because we're going to witness the live trading on that, led by Faida here. So please, gentlemen, after you. Would you just come around so I will space out adequately? Just stand here. Sure. So we are at the tail end of this engagement, and we just want the men who have been behind this exercise to witness this kickoff. Just walk us through what's happening. Yeah. You'll walk us through what's happening. So I see. Okay. Oh yes, I've just been reminded. Yes, we have not yet opened. Oh, 9:30. Yeah. So the market has not opened, but he'll explain to the gentleman here what will typically happen as the trading goes live. Meanwhile, as that happens, let me just remind us that participation in this is voluntary. No Nation Media shareholder is under any obligation to offload their shares following this equity repurchase exercise, which kicks off today and runs until September 24th. If you look at the circular, and of course, we have all observed that ever since this announcement was made, there's been a bit of an uplift in the share price, and so we wait to see how investors will be able to benefit from this engagement. So the provisions are that the company looks to buy back up to 10% of its issued shares. That's about 20.7 million issued shares, and that takes place between now and September 24th. And certainly this comes on the back of the issuance of guidelines by the Capital Markets Authority, which took place sometime mid last year, following the Companies Act, no, not the Capital, the Companies Act of 2015, which provided for the ability of companies to buy back their shares from the market. And as the speakers have emphasized, the view is that the company's market value is indeed undervalued, not reflecting adequately the fundamentals which underlie the book. So this should enable us to be able to unlock some value for shareholders, aside from the traditional issuance of dividends. So we are just wrapping up our engagement this morning, and we are getting one last bit here. Okay. So whom do we leave out? Yun Ngumu? Yes. Yun Ngumu, yes. Yeah. Okay. A few more questions here, then I will be inviting the gentleman back on the stage. for the popping of the champagne. Gentlemen, allow me to ask, are we okay with the session there? I want the chairman first. I want, that is Mr. Kiprono Kitoni, Dr. Wilfred Kiboro, and Mr. Bob Karina, please. Sorry to call you back. Sorry to call you back. It missed out some. Yes. Right. Who pops this now? Yeah, please, please. We are here to pop champagne. Just a minute, gentlemen, with your permission. I want to get some assistance here. You can assist, huh? Nahashan here will be assisting us in this exercise. Nahashan, please come to the floor here. This just closes the celebration we've had this morning for Nation Media and share buyback. Oh, it's already happened, sorry. Oh, let me, some glasses please for the chairman here. Nahashan will serve our chairman as we get some photo opportunities here. Please look at the camera and the photographers here. Chairman, please. Mr. Bob Karina. We're taking some photos here, please. So, yes, as we get the glasses brought to you. Nahashan, once you're ready, just please bring them to the chairman so that we conclude this. After the chairman, we shall have the CEOs serve theirs, and that will be closing our morning session. Thank you for that, Nahashan. Thank you, please. Asanteni sana. Maybe just a toast, then we will be able to leave. Thank you, Chairman. Asanteni sana. Thank you very, very much. Asante sana. Please remember to use this side. CEOs, please. Mr. Gitagama, you still around, and Mr. Shamia as well. Oh, but he was already served his, eh? Ah, good, okay. So Nahashan, there are a few who don't have their serving here. Please attend to them. And we will have closed the session this morning. Thank you very, very much. Asante sana, please. Right, is there anyone who... Oh, sorry, this is my CEO here. Yeah, yes. Mr. Chairman, please. Want to get a photo opportunity here? No, just sorry, just kidogo tu. Chairman, please. Kidogo tu. Just here. Yeah. Sorry. Photo opportunity here, and we will be done with the morning's engagement. Please, we may partake of a toast as we celebrate NMG and maiden buyback in this market. Asanteni sana. Thank you. Thank you. We are good on the video side? Asanteni sana. Thank you. Great. Thank you very much. We truly appreciate your time. Thank you very much. You may exit the stage, preferably from this side. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. That takes us to the close of our program this morning, where we have been bell ringing for Nation Media Group as we kick off the share buyback program, which runs between today and September 24th, or should the maximum limit have been arrived at earlier than that, then that will be it. I want to thank you so much. Guests are free to engage and leave at their own pleasure and leisure. Asanteni sana. It's been a delight being your host. Thank you very, very much. We appreciate it. Hello. It's you and who? How will I edit a 3-camera shoot, man?
What shall we do? What shall we do?